everybody. Today I thought I would, I had this cheese box and it's quite a cute little box, and I've wanted to make something with it for a while, and it just was sitting there. I saw it and I thought, oh, I'm going to make something, but what will I make? And I've been watching, thanks to Rachel, a couple of videos about people who do the slow stitching stuff, and I realised that I really liked some of the work they were doing, but I noticed also that they had lots of buttons, and I realised I didn't have lots of buttons, but I recently just got this little pack with these cute little buttons in. It was just 50 cents. And that made me realise that I've probably got buttons somewhere, maybe in the shed or something, but that I could make this into a little button pot. So I thought, so this is like a really fine balsa wood, a bit thicker on the bottom, and it's just held together with staples, so there's little gaps, probably because it was from French Brie, so it needed breathing or something. The top bit is it's cardboard. So I decided to do a bit of, well, it's like decoupage, but also it's kind of a paper mache type of idea over it to seal these little ends. So what I'm going to do is mainly just do this. I'll do it for a little while, I'll speed it up and I'll cut the middle out so as it's not so long, because there's quite a bit to do. So I'm just going to get on with this. Okay, so we've got fully covered, and now we have to wait. It does take a while to dry. This has been drying for 24 hours, so that's actually quite good and solid. And this one will need overnight again. I'll just put that aside to dry. The thing I noticed that I will remedy is that some of the parts that didn't quite go in the corner, they can crack. They're not fully, oh, they're okay, but they can crack. So I think what I'm going to be doing is a little something like a little line of just folded cardboard or something just in the crease there, just to actually secure it and cement that, and probably one around the outside here. For now though, I am going to begin working on the top for it. Alright, so I've got a bit of material here that's quite a loose weave, and as I said, I've been watching the slow stitching ladies, and that's been really enjoyable. And I thought what I would do would be make some of the patterns and designs and ideas that they have, I thought I would try and incorporate into a lid of this box. So what I imagine, of course I may change my mind, who knows, is having this bit of material. Probably what I need to do is have some sort of mark where my circle is. Now I'll just put the lid aside so I know this is the area I want to fill in, and I'm just going to cut the cloth big enough that I've got extra to drape down the sides of the box if I'd like to. I'm not sure. This is going to be obviously a work in progress. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is gather some bits of material. Okay, so I've gathered a bit of different varieties of materials together, and hopefully these all mix and match pretty well. I think they're a good blend. Still not sure about that. This has got a little daisy pattern on it. I've got these. I kind of like that. I like that adding a bit of a difference. Oh no, I've got a little tin of things here as well. Let's see, maybe if I was going to use this, I might want to just lightly tea stain it. Might go because we've got white. I'm just going to cut off a little bit. I'm sort of trying to narrow it down so I don't have too many things on my desk that are kind of taking up, you know, it gets a bit, well for me it gets a little bit confusing, I guess. Alright, let's put that away. Oh, this is interesting. Maybe a little bit of that. Alright, let's have a bit of that in there. Maybe 2 bits. It'll unfold as it goes. I do have this little bit of crocheted. I like that. Now I thought I had another pile of things somewhere. I wonder where they went. Cleaned up my room and can't find anything. Anyway, this is enough to start. One of the things that I wanted to do was not... I know it'll be relatively, if you imagine, it's going to be relatively three-dimensional if it's got these bits on. However, I'm still a sucker for batting. I still love batting. It's just soft. It's so nice. So I think what I'm going to do is cut a piece of batting that is the same size as the circle. And what I'll end up doing is cutting it the exact size so that this part will go over the edge of the lid. Here's the dry. This is the lid. So the batting will come to the edge here, and then this will have the sides that can come down as far as I want it to come down. That'll be a decision at the time. You know, maybe I can do that and join it, or maybe I'll cut it exact and put an edging around it. Either way, I think I'd like some batting behind it just to give it a bit of a cushion. So this will be my workspace. Now I have been looking at, I've been watching Rachel doing Anne's, it's not a snippet roll, it's sort of a slow stitch roll. And so I've been looking at Anne's, looking at Rachel's, and the other lady that Rachel mentioned, who has the most gorgeous little shop. I have been looking at all their things and loving them. So let's see, I like this side. I think that I'm tempted almost to make it really cushioned and double it. How does it feel? Alright, so I'm by no means an expert embroiderer or sewer or any of that, but I'll give these a go. And you know, when you're doing mixed media and junk journals, it's sort of just nice to have a break or a change of scenery. I think that will be too big. Let me see. They're too small. Yep, that one might be okay. Okay, so this peachy colour I think is neutral enough. Alright, so I'm just going to use double for this, just have a little bit more thickness. I'm going to keep the biro on because I think the edges, stuff will come out to the edges, and then if I put an edging around it'll be covered, but it'll just help me with my working area. And I'm just really just doing a little, I might not even know the name of some of these stitches. Oh, I've got using a needle that's a bit blunt. That's no good. Right, clearly this was the wrong needle. It's not, I need one with a sharper point. It's getting in there. It feels like it's making a big mess. And this will just keep that wadding from slipping and moving as I do things. Now I do have, I've got 2 different size hoops. I may or may not use, I mean I can still fit that one in, or I could do smaller areas with this one. I'm going to wait and see if I use those. I'm not that experienced with them, but everything is, you got to do it once and then you feel experienced, sort of. Well, you know what I mean. Give it a go. I probably could have done much larger tacking stitches for this. I'm just going to leave the loose threads. I intend to stick it down on the top of the lid, so it's not going to matter what the back looks like. It's not, you know, it's not out there in the open. I'm going to use a sharper needle. I hope I can thread it. Straight up. I love it. Oh, that's easier. Should have done that in the first place. Oh, that's better. I can just get a few in one go this way. So I guess I found yesterday when I started doing the paper mache of the actual little box, paper mache or decoupage, however you want to look at it. We just had it announced in Melbourne that that our Victorian government was trying to get the right to be able to make decisions about whether we're stage 3 or 4. And, you know, of course, for a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of people living with a lot of fear about what's going on at the moment. Sorry, just moving my bins. And I just ended up sort of editing my video because I kind of got a bit whingy about the whole thing, and because it was scary to me. You know, the whole idea of ending up being stuck, it feels like stuck forever, you know, in this sort of a lockdown state and a police state. Got a bit, you know, it got a bit much yesterday. One of my friends said, "Oh, she just went back to bed. She couldn't deal with it." that was how she dealt with it. She said, it's my mental health's so bad, it's not good. And she said, "I'm going back to bed." And I thought to myself, "You've got a good point there." And I went back to bed too. I just thought, I'm going back to bed in the afternoon because it really is a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to think about. I want to know if I want to... All right, I'm going to ramble and try to do stuff at the same time. I want to kind of get an edge. I should have my pins, shouldn't I? Got my little trusty, funny little pin cushion guy. Let's do this. So I don't know if I've said this or if I've deleted it, because sometimes I edit and I just totally delete out what I ramble on about. That in Victoria, when we went into our stage 4 lockdown, people with partners are still allowed to see their partners. And that meant that they were allowed to... so we have a curfew between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. So they were allowed to visit, go and stay, hang out. They just aren't allowed to drive through the curfew time, which means that if they get there and they don't have time to come home, they can just stay overnight. So that's cool if you're a in a relationship. You probably do go and stay at each other's places on the weekend or during the week or whatever works. And what my friend is saying, of course, as a single woman who lives on her own, well, she actually is similar to me. She has a flatmate, but they're not family, they're not your best friend. And so she's made a petition, because in New Zealand the bubble that people were allowed to have if you didn't have an intimate relationship was you could still have a friend that was in your bubble, and you were allowed to nominate your bubble. And so what we're noticing... All right, let's match these. What we're noticing, of course, is that if you live on your own or you're single, that you feel like you're being punished. You feel like it's like, oh, you naughty person, you don't have a relationship, we'll punish you. You can't see your friends or family. So it actually has been severe for some people's mental health, really. Oh, that's good, I like those. Anyway, so she's made a petition to the government to say, please let us have bubbles, because some of us are not dealing with this constant aloneness. Even though we've talked about it, and we've talked to her about the fact that we used to be able to just, even if it was just once a week or once a fortnight, just go and have a coffee, at the local cafe and have a chat. And some of us have tried doing the online kind of chatty things, and that works to an extent, but it's not a real person. It's just not. Well, what am I saying? Rambling on again. It's a real person, it just doesn't feel the same as real connection. Not, so if you're an affectionate person, like she is and like I am, we don't get a hug, that kind of thing. So it's quite severe for single people or people who live alone, and that is the one thing that I think was missed, because sometimes people making policies and sorting out all this stuff, now that's not going to be big enough, are really, in their younger, or I really need to sort out my needles. Or they're younger, or they've got family. What's that one like? Oh, no, that's not good. So they're not necessarily understanding what it's like. So yes, I am having a rant, and I wasn't meant to, and I'll probably delete it because I get angry with myself when I rant on, because no one wants to hear that. But some people actually do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some people do like to hear it. What stitch am I doing? I'm going to stitch this down. Do we not? I mean, it is fair, isn't it? If people in a relationship are allowed to see their partners, they've got more chance of spreading the virus than the people who aren't in relationships that just want to go and see their friend. Do you know what I mean? Like, my friend who's doing the petition is a nurse, or was a nurse. I'm doing a blanket stitch. I'm just making that up as I go. She's a nurse, so she has a very good idea about self-distancing, cleanliness, etc., etc. I don't know if my blanket stitch is working. I'm doing it wrong. Am I? No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not just... So there's less likelihood of us, if we have a virus, of spreading it to each other than people willy-nilly visiting their partners all over the place. Really, it's kind of quite silly. Anyway, back to embroidery. Back to doing things that bring us joy. Yeah, so that's actually... that was the point of that rant, that there are people that are really not doing it well, and we need to support them. And what can we do? You know, what can you do? What can you do that would help that person? Because my friend is studying transpersonal counselling, and so there's always the thing about, well, you also have to fill up your own well first. You've got nothing to give if you're in your own, you know, going through your own bits and pieces. And my journey this year has been a bit like that. I've felt like, oh, I've got nothing to give anyone. I want to. Usually I do, but I haven't at the moment, which is a bit sad. I mean, I actually did start. I worked through it, whatever it was. I did work through it, and all of a sudden then I did have something to give. So we're all going through this journey, and we're all learning stuff. I like that orange there. All right, I've done blanket stitch. I'm just remembering this from watching Rachel. So oh, and Anne as well. I like how it's not really uniform too. I know some people want to work on having the most perfect stitches, but I like the fact that with the mixed media stuff that, you know, it's not always meant to be perfect. I mean, you do you, obviously, but it's also designed to just be happy and get your, you know, get your creativity going and enjoy that. That's really perfection. Wow, yeah. Could we have a conversation about perfection, people? Maybe we could. The curse of perfection. Now I'm aware that this is going to be rather time consuming, so this might be one of those come back once a week too or something. Probably not, because I'll get caught up in it and want to keep going. I'm just trying to get sort of some under base down here so that there's a bit of just a bit more solidity underneath. And completely unplanned. And I might do a bit more edging here. I think it's the same both sides. All right, so let's see. Give it to this. Right. I'm going to keep going around with the orange around the edge. Now I am using 2 strands. They're not meant to get caught in a knot like that. Okay, so I am going to continue with this off camera because this will take ages, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to make this the end of part 1, and when I've done this I'll come back and do part 2. So I hope you're enjoying this, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.